Alrighty, so I got another video here. It's from Lauren Southern. God, but I've tried to record another video of hers like 5 or 6 times, but it's like I swear it's cursed because a lot of just random shit happens where I can't record it. Internet goes out, storage space on my camera goes out. The audio isn't good enough, that kind of stuff. So I gave up on that particular video and moved on to this one. It's called "Millennials Are Being Set Up for Loneliness," and just a quick couple things before I get into it. Connor Garcia has a book called Last Call for Heroes. So it's on Amazon out. It's out now on Amazon. So if you want to check it out, go ahead and support them. I'm not going to read off the ISBN number. You can go to my last video and just look at the comment there they left. I got it pinned. Also, just want to say that it's pretty cool that somebody came out with a antinatalist book. It's pretty sweet. I'm glad to support it any way I can. And I'll be reviewing it on this channel once I get the copy. It should be here in about a week or so, and I got to read it, of course, so it'll be a little bit, probably 2 or 3 weeks. 3 weeks at the most. But yeah, I definitely look forward to it, and good job there, Connor Garcia. Google is evil, however you want to go by. Really looking forward to your stuff. And also, just real quick, ribs still crack, so, if you hear me breathing heavily, sorry. Can't help it. Got painkillers. It is doing better. So if I cough or breathe heavy or something, I'm sorry, can't help it. I'll try to edit it out or keep it to a minimum as much as possible before we get to this, while we're doing this video. So, alright. Without further ado, let's get into this. It's called Millennials Are Being Set Up for Loneliness by Lauren Southern. And, yeah, I clicked on this video because of the top comment about having kids and stuff, so let's check it out.
Hey everyone. Okay, so I know you've been missing our little chats. Finally, we have been reunited.
I can't miss you if you don't go away.
And we're going to be talking about a billion things. But first of all, one thing that really pissed me off, and I think you too.
Yeah.
A tweet I sent out a few.
Okay, here's the tweet that she sent out. Because dying alone with no one to carry on your ideals and bloodline is like totally awesome. Okay, now first off, pretty much everyone's going to die alone in one way or another. This ideal thing where you're going to be surrounded by friends and loved ones when you pass away just doesn't happen for most people. Let's be real. You have to be extremely fortunate for that to happen in your life. I only know of one instance where that was the case, and that was a family member of mine. It was expected. He wasn't old enough to be in a care home. He was at his house and he ended up dying, surrounded by his family. So, there you go. It's the only time I could think of that's ever happened. And I've been to a lot of funerals and worked at a funeral home there for a while. Got a couple of my immediate family members involved in the care of the elderly, like nursing homes, convalescent homes, whatever you want to call them. And they normally just die there and at the place, and then they contact the family. That's how it goes. And they're like, okay, let's make the arrangements, all that stuff. But, yeah, this one, it's really stupid. You're basically dying alone anyways, because really no one's dying with you. You have to die your own death anyways. It's just stupid on face value. And, with no one to carry on your ideals. Well, if your ideals are shit, then, yeah, I guess you got to do it this way, don't you? Like antinatalism, the ideal of the philosophy of not creating more suffering and death on this planet has been passed on for millennia, pretty much without the need to have kids. I mean, there's some antinatalist parents out there, and I don't really go out of my way to shame them or nothing. Sometimes you find out too late, but overall, like, most antinatalists didn't arrive here because their parents taught them this. That's just stupid. And her ideals, I hope her kids are smart enough to ignore hers, because she seems kind of like a racist dick. So I'm hoping her kids are at least bright enough to see through that shit. And bloodline, like, kind of ties into what I said just a second ago, but it's these conservative type people, just to be, generous here, that are really concerned with that. I don't give a fuck about my bloodline. I didn't ask to be born with the name I was, with the genetics I have. It's just something that was given to me. I don't really give a fuck. And if my mother or father said you're passing down my bloodline, I'd be like, well, you mean I'm passing down half of it, right? Because it's been watered down immediately. So that's really dumb, unless you mean last name, but then my mother just lost hers to because she's married to my father. So it's really dumb. I don't even understand what the last two really mean, but dying alone, everyone experiences that, or most people will.
Weeks ago, these gay guys made a video saying,
oh my god, 2 gay guys made a video? Holy shit. It's like being homosexual precludes you from being able to make a fucking video. Grow up, lady.
Why you shouldn't have kids. And this wasn't just one video though. For some reason that week there was tons of articles from like The Guardian, and it's like it's not lucrative financially, like you're supposed to even consider that.
No, sorry. Had a bit of a coughing fit there, but like you're supposed to even fucking consider that? Are you shitting me? What, so if you plan on having kids, which God forbid, but if you plan for having kids, it's like, yeah, you know that financial planning thing, yeah, let's just forget that. Fuck that shit, who needs that? It's all about, having kids and my bloodline, my ideals. Money? Don't need that, don't need to actually raise them. That'd be ridiculous. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, you should consider that. And I think a lot of the reason why, I think she has to say this because I think that's the biggest reason a lot of people aren't having kids is finances. Because a lot of these people can't afford to feed, clothe, and house themselves, much less somebody else. So, yeah, it's a fucking very good reason.
It's about family, but
Yep, knew it. It's about family. Yeah, whatever.
All of this like bombardment of articles on do not have kids, do not have a family, live selfishly. And I was like, wow, it's like totally cool to not have kids, not pass down your bloodline or your ideals and just be selfish. But
don't pass down your ideals and your bloodline. Be selfish. Don't pass down your ideals and your bloodline. Be selfish. It's like I wish I could like get them some sort of audio mirror so they could fucking like headphones or something, just something so they could like grasp what they fucking just said or what she just said. That was entirely selfish, the reasons you just mentioned. Your ideals and your bloodline. That is selfish as fuck. Imposing that on somebody who didn't ask for it. God.
people got really mad. Lauren, I can't believe you would say this. Like, don't you understand how hard it is to have kids these days? The world is overpopulated. You probably read a lot of them, so I want.
And they're not wrong. You're just gonna brush that aside. Oh, it's whatever. These aren't valid reasons. They are very valid reasons. If you're concerned at all for the welfare of your kids, first off, you wouldn't have them. But second off, if you were going to have them, theoretically, wouldn't you want to look at the environment they're going to be born into? Pay attention to that? Pay attention to what you're able to provide for them? Or should we just say, fuck that, let's do it, honey. We're having a baby. We're making one tonight. You know, all this other shit be damned. We're having a fucking kid. Oh. Like, I expect this sort of shit out of like a teenage girl or something, not a grown adult. What, did you live in like a bubble your whole life? Look around you. Does it look like it's getting better?
I get your opinion.
I did.
On
Well,
the
actually, I
outrage.
watched this video, and when I was watching it, because you sent me a picture, a screenshot of it, and you were like, look at this video, this is stuff we talk about. And I was like, I thought the exact thing when I watched it, because I'd watched it a few hours earlier. And I think it's funny. When you look at all the reasons why people don't want to have kids, they're always very selfish. It's like, you lose sleep. You know, it's very expensive. And a lot of the responses, too, were the same thing. Or I think the excuse, like, we need to preserve the planet, it's overpopulated, is just something people fall back on because they don't want to have kids and they want to justify that.
Exactly.
What? Like you need to justify having kids. Well, granted, the first two reasons, yeah, pretty selfish. Is that the only reason why you're going to not have kids? Yeah, I kind of agree with that. That's pretty selfish. I'm not going to knock it for it. I'm not going to knock them for it, though. I'm not going to be like, you should totally have kids. If they value their sleep or their finances that much, or they realize they don't have the financial means to take care of a kid, why would you pressure them to do that and tell them they're being selfish? As if the reasons you listed were totally altruistic and selfless. Get real. And the planet one, yeah, if you haven't noticed, this shit's not getting any better. It's been warmer here than it has been a long time. Storms have got more violent, that kind of crap. It's not getting any better in that front. I'm not a big environmentalist. Don't ask me to cite any facts on that. I'm just going off my local weather, and it gets shittier by the year, it seems like. I don't love it. So, yeah, just looking at that and realizing that things are getting more expensive, like basic necessities for people are becoming more and more costly. Yeah, those are good reasons not to have kids on their own. But the best reason to not have kids, or best reasons, is to realize that whatever kids you have are going to experience the inevitabilities of suffering and death. Guaranteed, no matter what. Two things you definitely don't like because you spend your entire life trying to avoid those things. Trying to, push it back. So, yeah, realizing that that's what's coming for you, no matter what, even if you could be a multi-billionaire, had the best, fucking medical care, all that sort of stuff, have all this sort of life-enhancing crap on your body, death's still coming for you, you'll still experience suffering, or at the very least boredom. So, yeah, I don't look at a transhumanist future as being a salvation either, but still, let's keep going.
And I would say to prove that, you had Emmanuel Macron come out and say that Africa's problems were caused by them having too many kids, which, fair enough,
I think that's just one of many of Africa's problems, but yeah, having too many kids isn't a good idea, but again, I don't know much about what goes on in all of Africa because it's a continent, it's not a country, it's an entire fucking continent. But there's a lot of really shitty places there, I know that much. And a lot of these women get impregnated through rape. With no means of being able to, terminate the pregnancy or having no access to birth control or even basic sex ed. Even through, puberty and shit. They just don't know what's happening to them. That kind of crap. So, it is kind of, you could say that all you want, but it's not really changing anything. It's just the way it is. There's so many other factors that go into why they're having so many kids, and that them having a shitload of kids is not the entirety of Africa's problems as a continent. It's a big part of it, but it isn't the entirety of it, that's for sure.
8, 9 kids when you can't afford, genuinely can't afford to take care of them, send them all to school, feed them. That's a big problem.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem now, isn't it? The fact that they can't send them to school. They didn't get educated themselves on these matters. Yeah, that's part of the fucking problem. But as far as being able to feed and clothe them and stuff, I thought we weren't supposed to worry about finances. I guess it only matters when it's black Africans, not, white Europeans. Like your Europa Nostra shirt is fucking telling me right now. Because Lauren Southern is kind of a racist asshole from my experience watching her fucking videos. And by watching, I'm dragging myself through them kicking and screaming, or trying not to kick and scream, to make a video for you guys.
And there was outrage over him saying that. They were like, how dare you say that? That's racist. You're trying to call the country, all of this. But if you say it for Western nations, where even very, very poor people can genuinely afford to have kids and send them to school and feed them, suddenly that's A-okay. So it's
I don't know exactly what he said, but I'm pretty sure he didn't say black people don't have kids. I think he said don't have 7 or 8 children. He kind of left it there. And I bet you, if there were people, there's people around here, but if the entire country of the United States or something or Canada, operated in the same way, he'd be saying something about that too. Okay? And besides, how are you supposed to talk to these people about all sorts of things? We're the countries that have access to this sort of infrastructure where birth control, contraceptives, all that sort of stuff is available. Abortion's available in most places around here and stuff like that. They don't have that there. So why would he be talking to him about it? They got to get up to a certain level of, I guess what we would consider civilization, I guess, in a sense. Basic civilization, stuff like that, before that conversation can start taking place. But it really just can't happen because they're not getting educated on this sort of stuff. And a lot of them sure as fuck don't know about antinatalism. I'm not saying that Africans are dumb or nothing, but a lot of these places, they just don't even, a lot of these places don't even have a grade school or something, and you're expecting them to make decent decisions in life. It'd be like taking your kid out of kindergarten and just let them wander through life. They may turn out okay-ish, but they're not going to know a lot of things.
Weird politically correct thing to say Westerners who do have the resources to have kids shouldn't have them, whereas people who don't really have those resources, go ahead, just have tons and tons of kids.
Like, why would Western people who live in the West be talking to people in all these other countries, first off? Unless it's to basically exploit them, from what I've understood about the thing. We don't seem to give a shit about them. And I know you don't either, Lauren Southern. Let's be real. Unless it's to try to get something out of them. We don't want to educate them on anything, but, talking amongst ourselves over here in the developed, civilized world, so to speak, why the fuck would we encourage us to have more kids? It doesn't really benefit the individual. It benefits governments and corporations and, the military and stuff like that. It doesn't really benefit the individual. It certainly doesn't benefit the kid to have them. Okay? And here I am talking about how these places are uneducated when I got two dumb fucks sitting in front of me.
I don't think that most people completely prepare for when they're supposed to have kids and how many, and like dole out the amount of money they need for them, all these things.
Yeah, I kind of agree. You're never fully prepared for everything in life. Yeah, get it. But to act like you shouldn't have a plan at all, should you, for some godforsaken fucking reason, decide to have kids or want a plan to have them, why wouldn't you have a plan for it? Why wouldn't you overplan at least? What, should we do the other thing and just, wing it the whole fucking time, like completely? I know everybody's winging it to some extent, but completely just say, whatever. We're having a kid, honey. Whatever happens, happens. I know I'm working at McDonald's making $10 an hour and you haven't found a job yet, but I think we can make it work. It's just stupid.
And I think people have a perception that you need too much to give to your kids. Obviously you need enough to pay for education, like food, these kinds of things, but I think you're blowing it out of proportion.
Do you in this day and age, though? Like, I went to...
public school's free. Yeah.
What? No, public school is not free. And yes, you do got to pay for it. You pay for it through your tax dollars. And yeah, you got to buy food and clothes and, some toys for them. If you want them to have, like, a decent childhood, yeah, you got to do some things. You got to dole out a little cash. Sorry to break it to you. That's the way it is. And no, public school, again, is not free. My fucking tax return shows me that every fucking time. I'm definitely paying for it, or paying for something.
You don't have to pay for school. That's a huge thing.
Not gonna lie, public school is not that great, especially with the indoctrination. I want to look into homeschooling when I do have children. But
I can agree with her that the public schooling system in the United States isn't the best at a lot of places. I wouldn't say everywhere is horrible, but it wasn't the greatest where I was in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, where I still reside. But I would rather have her kids go to public school than whatever horse shit she's going to be teaching them. Honestly.
This idea that you need to even pay for university. Like, I worked my butt off to go to university, and honestly, I'm happy that I did that. I've been working since I was 13 years old.
So are you happy to pay for university? I don't get it. Huh? Did we just talk about how education's free and shit, and then suddenly it's like, well, up to a certain point, if you want to get to, like, more advanced studies and stuff like that, well, you're going to be shelling out something to the tune of $60,000, give or take, for a 4-year degree in a state college somewhere. Again, I'm speaking as an American here, a United States citizen, whatever. I understand some people think American means like all of America, but whatever. Like, okay, I want to see why she thinks it's a cool idea for people to pay for university. I'd love to hear it.
Worked at a kitchen washing dishes, and it wasn't easy. After school I had to go to my job, and while the other kids would go out and party or whatever, and I'd be washing their dishes, taking their order for fries or whatever eventually. But that helped me move up. I got a cool job working at a video game store when I got later in high school, and I learned way more about applying for jobs, how to get them, and it was a great experience.
It builds character. There's a lot. There comes a point where kids can do a lot for themselves. You just have.
So hold up. How did you pay for university again? I know it wasn't from washing dishes and selling games to teenagers. I worked my way through high school. There was no way in fuck I had the money to fucking afford college even. especially around the time I graduated with the housing crisis. And man, I feel so bad for the kids coming out of high school now with the crisis we got going on here. But still, it wasn't easy then. And I imagine it's even rougher now for, high schoolers to find even a fucking basic job. They're going to be competing with adults like I was. Probably even more so. For basic minimum wage jobs. And you want these people to, basically fucking buy a brand new house with it. Somehow. Paying like 60 to 80 grand a fucking year. And unless you're like lucky enough or smart enough or whatever, born the right color, give or take whatever, get a grant, you get a scholarship, something like that, odds are you're not going to be able to go to college. I certainly didn't get any of those things. So, it's just that's the way it is. So, thinking this is a great idea for teenagers to go out and, spend the next fucking, 5 years of their life at 7 or 15 to fucking pay for college, washing dishes at $7-something an hour. Yeah, that's going to totally pan out for them because we all know teenagers are just master financial planners to begin with and don't want to buy all the cool shit or hang out with their friends and go to parties and buy beer and cigarettes or whatever. Or at least, I speak from my experience, but most teenagers are not thinking that far ahead to college. I can say that much. You've got to be really cracking the whip as a parent to get them to save that kind of money. And they will probably hate you for it.
To say that you should do this. You should pay for your college. Get a job when you're 15 or 16, whenever the legal age is, and start saving up. Teach them these life skills. It'll be good for them. If you just hand everything to them, and this seems like the attitude that these people have, if they need to have so much money in order to take care of their kids, then they're probably not going to turn out as great because they're going to take everything for granted and expect it. And we know we have like a severe entitlement culture right now.
You seem pretty entitled to what teenagers do with their time. Working and all that to get something that may not pan out for them in the future. You're basically paying a lot of money to sign yourself up for a lottery in a lot of ways. I know tons of people who went to college, tons, who are not working in the field they went to school for. They're making less than I am. Somebody who couldn't afford it. It sucks. It's really backwards and unfair. It's really kind of shitty. I got off lucky in a lot of ways, mainly because I'm alive, but or didn't die a horrible death, let's put it that way, but I mean, these people went to school for how many years, took the risk, and then they got boned hard. Now they're stuck working a shitty job, just trying to pay the bills, pay the rent, pay for food, pay for clothing, pay for transportation, all this sort of stuff, while having a shitty fucking loan on top of them that will never go away. They have to die to escape it. How is that fucking fair? Like, we just wasted all that money. All that money just went down the drain for somebody to be educated, and then it's just not being used in the way it was supposed to. That sounds kind of like, people just think they're entitled to your money and entitled to fuck you over. That sounds like entitlement culture to me. Not thinking you're entitled to have like a decent shot in life. No, fuck that. That's just so much. No, like, you're totally entitled to get fucked in the ass by the system who doesn't give a shit about you. But yeah, you're going to encourage this kind of behavior. Get fucking real. You're the entitled assholes. Looking at you two, I can tell you haven't had a hard day's work in your fucking life. Are you kidding me?
So it is a problem. But I just thought it was interesting, many of the reasons why people don't want to have kids. And it is a personal choice. No one's like, you need to have kids or else.
That was a big misconception.
Yet you were just talking about people need to justify why they didn't have kids. Through the environment or something. It's just a way for them to justify, but let's put that aside and get going.
Towards my tweet, they're like, not everyone wants to have kids, Lauren. Some people can't have them. Some people like never fall in love. And I'm like, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who have been genuinely like shamed for wanting to have kids, told that's like too conservative and traditional and
my
stuffy.
mom was legitimately shamed for.
I believe that.
And when she had four, she has.
Holy shit! She had 4 kids. Yeah, she should be shamed. What's the point of having 4 fucking kids? I mean, she looks like somebody came from somebody who's well off. I don't know. Maybe she didn't, but she just strikes me as the type of person who did. But yeah, 4 kids, and I mean, might want to pump the brakes there, lady. But I don't hear people getting shamed for having kids, especially where I live in a traditional conservative area, by and large. I mean, they probably most people probably think I'm some sort of hardcore communist out here because I'm like way alien to them. I'm not saying I'm not like all these other people or whatever, but I'm really not in a lot of ways. I'm the only antinatalist around here. And I've never heard once somebody get shamed for being too traditional and conservative. I've heard the opposite. Like, why aren't you having kids? Do you want to make your parents unhappy with not? Do you want for not having grandkids or something like that? Like that kind of crap. Don't you want to take on some meaning and responsibility in your life, as Jordan Peterson would say? And some of them do quote him verbatim. Good Lord. Try not to shut him down too hard, but it's getting to the point where I just don't give a fuck anymore.
There's 8 kids in my family now, but when she had
Oh my God, 8 fucking kids? Jesus Christ, yeah, apparently it didn't sink in for her now, did it? God damn. Fucking Undertaker must love your family, 8 more graves to dig.
4, she started to get shamed. It's like, really, it's not that many. It's not, and for all the people that don't have
No, just 8 more people have to suffer and die in this existence. What is that compared to the billions before us? Guess you're right, it's just a drop in the bucket, who cares?
kids, I think it balances out.
And you turned out fine, I think.
Yeah, well, no,
No, I know you didn't.
we'll see about that. But the good thing is, I think with a lot of kids, is you don't pay too much attention to every kid, and spoil. When you have 1 or 2, obviously it can be a wonderful thing. But for me personally, it was not too much attention to all of us, and kind of
And also
spoiling
kids,
us.
especially when there's older siblings and stuff,
Yeah.
they help each other and
Exactly.
you help learn from each other. I looked up to my sister a lot growing up, and we still get along really, really well. And
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of agree with like not paying super amounts of attention to your kids, I guess, not being a helicopter parent, but you got to draw the line somewhere. Like, there's like paying attention to your kids and neglecting your kids. Like, you got to ride that line. It is a really hard line to ride, really, I would think. It'd be an insanely hard job to do. I don't think I'd be able to do it because, like, for instance, if, like, I had a kid and they did good in something, which God forbid, that'd be my worst nightmare. But I give them like a toy for doing something good, and it's like, well, now they expect a toy every time. It's like, then I got to tell them you don't get a toy every time you do something good. That kind of shit. Just a rough example, but yeah, it's really rough to try to figure this out. And as far as siblings go, like I got 2 of them. I'm older than both of them, so I didn't learn shit from them. So yeah.
she taught me a lot about video editing as well, because she was way better at me
Yeah.
than when I was younger. So you learn a lot from your siblings as well. It's a great experience. For people
Yeah, bullshit in my case.
who don't have siblings, like some people have great
Yeah.
single child families as well. But overall, I think my point was, in that tweet, is family is a beautiful thing and a
Exactly.
significant thing. People thousands and thousands of years ago literally fought, bled, died, gave all of their knowledge to their children in hopes that you would one day exist.
No, what? No. My ancestors in fucking 900 AD were not thinking, oh, gee whiz, sun dimmer in 2020. We better fight this war, fellas. Like, we got a generation to bring about so we can finally end this. However many fucking years later, over 1,000. No, they weren't thinking that. They were thinking we need to survive here. We need more soldiers. We need more farmhands. We need more this and that. We're trying to make it in this world. They're not thinking fucking somewhere down the line almost 1,000 years later. Or over 1,000 years later in this case. And I'm not thinking about, the people in 2400. I'm not thinking, man, I gotta fight, die, bleed, and try to inculcate my fucking ideals and culture into my kids. So that when whoever, Sun Dimmer the fucking 180th can fucking, prosper. Like, what the fuck? Who? What? Only these type of people would think like that. Like, their fucking ancestors give a shit. All I could say is if my ancestors were looking down on me and talking to me, I'd be like, aren't you dead? Don't you have anything better to do than fucking not mind your own business?
And you're just gonna throw that away because you'd rather do cocaine and like sleep around and party
Yeah.
for the rest of your life? Really?
Yeah, I would. Coke-fueled orgies sound pretty fun now, don't they? Sounds better than having to raise kids to have to, watch them, suffer and die, depending on the circumstances. You may be lucky enough not to see the outcome of your kid's life, but yeah, I would take that any day over having a kid. But again, those aren't the fucking reasons I'm not having kids. I'm not out there having fucking, satanic gangbang swinger orgies with fucking, drug addicts or something. I'm not doing that. I'm not having kids because of those reasons. Because it's interfering with my fucking kinky lifestyle. No. I'm not having kids because I know the fucking guarantees of life. And they are bad. A lot of negatives. Big negatives. Guaranteed negatives. I'm not escaping them. You two ain't escaping. Anyone listening ain't escaping. And your kids, my kids, anybody's kids will not escape either. It's as simple as it fucking gets. I don't know what to... Guess you haven't heard it before. Maybe I'll be generous here too, but still. It's so grating.
You want to throw away that line that so many people historically have created you with and your family.
Well, it's a shitty present. Yeah, I would toss it in the garbage, or at least ask for a receipt. I'll be like, yeah, I didn't ask you to do this, buddy. Be like somebody's asking me, it's like, Jesus died on the cross for you. It's like, I didn't ask him to do that. Why should I feel guilty over something somebody did 2,000 years ago? I certainly don't feel it over my ancestors. I don't feel it over Jesus or any of that shit. Didn't ask him to do a damn thing like that. I didn't ask to be born. I don't give a fuck. Throw it away. Look at the game you're playing, a game where the history is war, famine, pestilence, and death. And tell me you want to keep this going just so your last name gets to linger on a couple more generations. Man, yeah, we're selfish though.
And your heritage and the ideas that have been passed, your language, your culture, these things are so important. And
no, they're not. They are very mutable. We're not speaking what Shakespeare spoke now, can we? Now, are we doing that? Can you read Shakespeare just offhand? Be like, oh yeah, I know what he's talking about. We don't have the same fucking culture. We don't have the same fucking language in a lot of ways. All that sort of stuff. All our traditions, they get watered down and changed and all that sort of stuff. It disappears over time. You're not preserving anything. You're just holding on to something that is going to be gone anyways. It's like holding on to a fucking sinking life raft. If this is what you base your life around, you're fucked either way. I mean, you're fucked anyways, but you're fucked if you think these are the things that are going to save you. Or that they're worth saving. Because a lot of that shit we dropped because it didn't work. And it was pretty harmful to most people. I mean, we don't have the idea of kings around anymore. Do we preserve the monarchy? Are you shitting me? Grind through this shit.
At the end of your life, you may be able to party now in your 20s, even your 30s, late 30s, 40s, party, have fun, but when you get weaker and beauty fades and all these things go away and it's harder to have flings and Tinder relationships, when you're on your deathbed, the people that are there are your family. And I'm not even just saying like blood family, like your spouse and then the family you create with them.
Exactly.
And that's something that's beautiful and is there for you on your deathbed that next.
Huh? What? No, odds are you're not going to make it to your deathbed. Much less surrounded by fucking friends and family. Okay, let's get that straight. This is the ideal circumstance. Wouldn't be ideal for someone like me because by the time I'm that age, where I'd be on my deathbed, all I'd have is my siblings left probably and maybe a few friends who have survived. My parents would most likely be gone. I wouldn't have anyone else left unless I got married or something. Or I adopted a kid with her. Something to that effect. I don't know. Wouldn't be much. And I'm personally not looking at that shit and thinking, yeah, that's beautiful. That's amazing. No, I'm thinking like, that's the ideal circumstance first off. And yeah, second off, why do we care about that? Why don't you look at what caused the scenario for you to be on your deathbed? Okay, suffering while everyone watches you suffer. That seems like it would be horrible in a lot of ways, actually. Now I think about it. Imagine looking up on your deathbed. If you had kids, bear in mind. If you're looking at your children and your spouse's family and your spouse, and they're all looking at you, watching you die. Does that sound appealing to anybody? Having them cry over you and miss you? No. It doesn't sound appealing at all. It doesn't sound beautiful to me. I wouldn't be thinking about, like, oh man, what an amazing time I had. Thanks, guys. It's been amazing. Just high-fiving on your way out. No, that's not how it works. You're on the very much downhill. You're probably not even able to really do much. And you're on your way out. If you've seen people at the end of their life, it's not pleasant. It'd be probably worse to have to see their friends and family surround them while it's happening. I would think, but I don't know. Maybe it works for her.
Generation that has been created and
to have to experience the same thing in your ideal world, of course.
I think that brings a lot of people comfort and meaning and purpose towards the end of
There's
their life.
so many positives.
Comfort, meaning, and okay, I can get comfort, maybe, kind of. I'm on the fence about that, but meaning and purpose? Huh? Meaning and purpose in what way? What do you mean, meaning and purpose? What meaning and purpose was that? What, the meaning and purpose of your life was to make more people to have to watch you end your life, so that way at some point that they will create more people for them to have to watch them at the end of their life? Was that your meaning and purpose? Seems really retarded to me. I don't even know what the fuck those two words mean, really. Like, what do you mean by meaning and by purpose? Really? What did that accomplish? Didn't accomplish a fucking thing. Just another fucking body to be discarded.
Things about family, and it's like when you take care of someone and then they take care of you. When you get older, you'll have that support there. You won't be alone in a nursing home or whatever without any love, and I just feel like that'd be really.
And that's a big old horse shit for me, because go to a nursing home. You know what? Pause this video. Go visit a nursing home. Come back to me and tell me how many family members came to visit all those old folks there. It's probably not many. And having, like, I think I've mentioned, like, I have 2 immediate family members who work in that. Yeah, a lot of times, family ain't around. They just kind of drop them off there, don't see them for years, and only come by whenever they're dead to arrange the funeral. Sad but true.
But you also get to see, you give your parents grandkids, it's a wonderful thing. I think it also, when we focus too much on ourselves and only taking care of ourselves, we can become more selfish and self-centered. When you have other people to take responsibility for, it makes you a much more giving, kind person that that you can nurture. I find that, even I've mentioned before, getting a dog helped me do that. And I think when I finally have kids, which I'm so excited for, it'll definitely make me a better person and less.
Do I really need to say it? Just listen to that back. Just listen to that back. And tell me if she mentioned one unselfish thing in there. It'll make me a better person. I'll give my parents grandkids. I'll have a support structure. I won't die alone. Everything she listed was fucking selfish as fuck. I'd rather have a selfish, fucking orgy hound fucking drug addict than fucking someone like her who keeps this going. I'd rather hang out with the other person. Because at least I'm not causing more problems for other people who didn't ask to be here. And thinking that they're doing something noble and grand on top of it. At least they know they're not doing anything great. They're being totally selfish in the sense that they only care about themselves. And they're openly sort of admitting it. But these people delude themselves into thinking they're being selfish by bringing more fucking idiots here. Yeah, we're all idiots here. Let me put it to you that way. But bringing, especially out of these two's wombs, I imagine, would not be very bright. Or at least I fucking hope they would be bright enough to see through their racist horse shit at the very least. But, I mean, what the fuck? Everything they said was selfish. It hurts. Really, it does. To hear people say that they're being totally selfless, and then they just mention nothing but selfish reasons for having kids. And then they'll fire back and say, you're selfish for not having them. At least they're aware enough to know that they're being selfish in the sense that they're picking certain reasons. Like, I want to do fucking, coke off a fucking stripper's ass instead of having to take care of a baby. At least they can admit that. You won't even concede that you're being selfish for having kids. And what they're doing is causing less harm than what you're doing. Motherfuck me.
Self-centered.
It's part of a complete life too. We've got this really stupid idea, this crazy idea that a complete life is just being as happy and indulging in the passions as much as possible. But
didn't you just sort of advocate for that? Like, you gotta be happy and have kids and, indulge in your wild animal passions to fucking keep bringing more people here, so that way, your chances of survival are, somewhat increased, I guess, because you have a little bit more of a support structure and all that sort of stuff. You have a family to lean on. That kind of crap. You're basically acting like a fucking dog if it could talk.
The only reason the best hot showers I've ever had have been after I've left a snowy cold day or been in the rain and I'm soaked and pulling off that cold wet clothes, shivering, and I get in the shower and it's the most beautiful, wonderful thing ever. They say that you can only experience things that are truly beautiful and truly lovely and truly good once you have dark things to contrast them with. It's that yin and yang of life.
Yeah, and I've also noticed that whenever I'm driving my car faster, it takes longer for it to stop. Oh, gee, wow, that's what you just described with the shower thing was just completely mechanical. Yeah, you experience an increase in, power in your existence because you're not fucking out in the elements freezing your balls off. You happen to go into your climate control home, you take off your wet clothes, you fucking take a hot shower. Power enhanced, you feel good about it because you're not fucking on the down. It's like your pleasure and pain is kind of like a spring here, the amount of tension you have. Pain, more tension, more pressure applied, pleasure. Less tension, less pressure applied. You're able to move about more freely, I guess. You're not compressed in, you're not forced to do certain things, so you experience more pleasure because you have more power for your existence, that kind of crap. Spinoza said it better, read him. It's in the definitions of the emotions in part 3, but still. It's a good definition. Definitions. Where pleasure is the increase in power, pain is the decrease in power. There you go. Power for your existence. And as far as the whole yin and yang go, that's just subjective, really, as far as beauty and ugliness in a lot of ways. And by subjective, I mean as far as the subject you're concerned is, that's on us. That's what we perceive things as. I don't know, seeing a dead cat or whatever is not exactly beautiful. But maybe bumping into a rose garden or something is just the most beautiful thing ever. It's pleasing to the eyes. It's more orderly, more appealing to the senses, so to speak, I guess. Pleasant smells, beautiful looking flowers, all that sort of stuff. Dead cat on the road, guts hanging out, squashed. Could have been your cat. I mean, the list goes on of all the things that we find appealing and unappealing. And a lot of it has to do with whether this is life enhancing or sort of kind of appealing in a sense, like visually appealing or appeals to our enhancement of survival, that kind of stuff, like a good meal as opposed to a shitty meal. That sort of stuff. It's the way it is. Beauty and ugliness really does not exist out there. It exists in here. Let me just try to stress that, okay? And even saying that, I understand that having a kid or something like that, that's why I'm still an antinatalist, is I understand the subject that my kid would be experiencing the same things and would experience a hard ugly of suffering and death. It may not experience the worst suffering ever on planet Earth, but it's going to experience it, guaranteed. And it's also going to experience the very hard ugly everyone experiences, which is death. As far as the subject, is concerned, which is something none of us escape. You're basically stuck in a nightmare pain generator. Really, is what it is, because our bodies are so demand so much. That's why I got anxiety and all this sort of stuff, all this depression. Can't do anything, I'm just overwhelmed, all that kind of crap. It all has to do with you maintaining your earthly existence. It's what causes a lot of the problems. I wish I could say it better, but my pain meds are wearing out. Let's get through this.
You have to know what is bad to know what is good, and you have to struggle for the best thing.
You just know what's bad and good based on the subject you are.
It's the best relationships, the best friendships. They take work, they take effort. It's not always easy to do it, but it's a beautiful thing in the end. And these ups and downs in life, these struggles, these experiences are something that make it complete.
Bullshit. What makes life complete is your death. But as far as relationships and friendships and family members, maintaining those sort of things, it's not always easy. A lot of times it's not very exciting, but if you're a good person or a decent person, I guess, whatever, and you're not a flake, it takes some work to stick with your friends and family and, your relationships if you have one. There's going to be some shitty moments in there, for sure. I know, I've been friends with people for, one friend I've had for 15 years, another one's been it's been 17 or 18 years now, but a lot of ups and downs in there, but it wasn't always an easy, fun ride the whole time, let me say that much. We all got to see each other at our shittiest moments, but in that amount of time, but you gotta work at them. I'm not gonna falter for saying that, it's true, but saying necessarily that family and any of this is beautiful and it's all gonna turn out okay in the end is bullshit. Don't fall for that. these people always seem to live in some sort of happy ever after kind of mentality, and it's just, there's no happy ever after scenario here.
And we think it's stupid to look at that traditional life of graduate, get married, have the white picket fence and
Yeah.
the family. We think that's like so basic and lame. But those are
I mean, that's kind of out of reach for most people anymore, at least in the United States anymore. It's not like the 50s again. It really is out of reach for a lot of people.
like amazing and terrific ups and downs and crazy experiences that are really close to you. They may not be as crazy as getting 1 million likes on Instagram, which is really just superficial, you staring down at your phone and emptiness.
What? I think any of that would be more, have a lot more ups and downs and loop-de-loops and all that sort of shit than staring at your phone looking at fucking Instagram likes. Who in the fuck is saying that it's... I don't get this.
Like I know the life of an internet celebrity, it's literally just like so
And
Yeah, spoken from an internet celebrity, and she was like pointing to her phone, acting like she was using it, which, yeah.
sacrifice when people look at kids, oh, it's so hard, they're always there, they're crying, you lose sleep, all these reasons that they're very selfish, just all the ones that people put forth for the
Not all the ones, no, not all the reasons. But yeah, those are kind of selfish in a sense, but yeah, if you're looking at that, it'd be like you applying for a job, and you're like, I'm not willing to do that. Why do it? Especially when it comes to, having other people's lives on the line. It's like, why would... I can't handle, wiping people's asses, seeing people get ripped apart, having to stitch them back together, tons of blood, giving shots. Yeah, it should be a nurse. Or a doctor. Yeah, that sounds like an appealing job. Yeah, this is what these people are saying. They're like, I can't handle this. I'm not going to do it. I'm not exactly on board, but yeah, I guess in a sense it'd be kind of selfish of me not to be going to medical practice or something based on that line of reasoning, but it's not for everyone.
reason is to not have kids. Maybe it's not the best way to put it, but it is something that, procreation, then you invest so much into a human being, and then they can turn out to be something really wonderful, and you'll see, I was a part of that, like I'm responsible for this, and you could be...
You're half responsible, but yeah, again, selfish right there. Bam, selfish. I was a part of this. And yes, they can turn out to be good or great or whatever, but odds are that's not going to be the case, okay? There's not Einsteins being born every other day here. Alright, let's be real. And I forgot to mention that when she said all the reasons are selfish, no, they're not, obviously. There's good reasons not to have kids outside of what she mentioned. Duh.
So I think it'd be amazing to watch kids grow, that you passed on your beliefs to, your culture, your traditions. I think it'd be amazing, and it'd be really
Yeah, and they'll throw them out the window as soon as they turn into teenagers. Watch.
lonely to be without that.
right now, birth rates in the West, when you
Notice that these people are just describing them, or basically treating their kids as like little mini-me's, little clones. It's kind of disgusting and very selfish.
don't include the new mass migration waves,
Yeah.
are low.
Well, the new mass migration waves generally aren't having a shitload of kids now, are they? I don't think so. Okay?
They're negative. It's like people are having 1.5 kids.
Yeah, it's like the average.
the average.
Gee, I wonder, why would they be doing that? Man, it must just be because they, are thinking about how much sleep they're losing. I bet that's the only reason why.
Yeah, it's below, and that's something people are freaking out. The world's overpopulated. Okay, well then let Macron talk about Africa. Then,
Yeah.
guys, come on. Or
Yeah, let Macron talk about Africa, but don't you dare, look at, us white nations over here. Don't look at our birth rates. Don't talk about that. Africa is cool though. We're cool with that, because those are black kids, and we want Western ideals and values passed down.
also, just another fact that a lot of people don't acknowledge. Everyone could live. The entire Earth's population could comfortably live in Texas with quite a lot of land. Just
Really? 8 billion people. 8 billion people could live quite comfortably. There's people who can't get along a block away from each other and have gang shootouts and shit. And you're telling me that 8 billion people could live comfortably in Texas. I'm just getting images of Judge Dredd in my head with the mega cities. Yeah, that's gonna pan out so fucking well, let me tell you. What, we each get our own 20 by 20 fucking apartment? Man, wouldn't that be amazing? We should all just immigrate down to Texas and just get it over with. That way we could fill up the whole world.
Just to put things into perspective, I understand people are talking about environmental
Like
aspects and
resources
everything,
and- yeah.
resources.
Yeah, that's a big factor in there, yes. We don't have, or at least the resources are not being distributed evenly enough for, to support the population we have in a lot of places. There's people living on like a couple dollars a day. Alright? Barely making ends meet, living hand-to-mouth existences. And what, we're going to magically feed and clothe them all if they're in Texas? Give them water? They'll have that nice fucking beautiful apartment that they can't even really raise a family in because it'd be so fucking small. I don't even know how much land each person would get, but it wouldn't be much.
But on that end, then you want more Western kids, in a sense,
I
because
think you mean white. But just say it. Just say white. I see your Europa Nostra shirt. I saw you kind of look at your friend over here like, shit, no, okay, Western, okay. Yeah, don't bullshit me, okay? We can see through it.
as those are the ones that are putting the most into trying to create environmentally friendly solutions and regulations on that kind of stuff. Like all of the oil and gas, all of the more ethical companies that actually have scientists that are looking into making less greenhouse gases are in like America, Canada, and Europe, whereas
And they get out competed by by companies in other countries because they don't have those ethical practices. It's pretty well known.
like obviously Saudi oil, Malaysia oil, all of these ones that are literally like slave labor style things. So if people want more ethical world, well, Western children that have Western ideals and are going to be raised in that kind of culture, you should want more of those.
Yeah, export your unethical behavior to the rest of the world. That's the ideal, Western ideal I live up to. We rules for me, but we don't give a shit what you guys do. We'll just outsource all of our jobs over to these places that have like no regulations or anything like that. They employ slaves, but they have slave labor to give us our oil that we can get for cheaper. That any way to save a buck is the Western ideal I've grown to know and love, and look forward to passing it down to my children.
Yeah.
So I do not buy this idea of overpopulation is going to destroy everything.
No, the argument it deflates the minute you challenge it in the slightest.
No, it doesn't. Just because you glossed over the resources fact, but yeah, just because we have the fucking space doesn't mean we have the means to provide for, I don't know, the 90 billion people you guys would want or something like that. It'd be ridiculous. Like, I think you guys are more anti-life than I'll ever be.
So it's ridiculous to in any way say that it's a negative thing for people to be having kids. It's more like,
Well, what? Hold up. Let me back that up here. I was I was feeling some pain there for a second, but it woke me up. What?
in the slightest. So it's ridiculous to in any way say that it's a negative thing for people to be having kids. It's more like this is a really
It's a ridiculous thing to say that it's negative any way for people to be having kids. Do I need to say anything about this? Really? Do I gotta? I'm not going to. You guys are smart enough. You think of your own reasons. I'm getting kind of tired listening to these two jackasses fucking talk.
this is a really positive thing. It should be celebrated. We want to continue our existence, don't we?
Yeah, just like a car wants to go down the road, or just like a submarine wants to go deep diving. Except it doesn't want to. It's just made to do that. That's what we do. We're built to survive. We're built to keep going. Yeah, everyone wants to continue their existence. Duh. But continuing your existence has nothing to do with kids. Okay? Has absolutely nothing to do with it. And again, this is one of those things where people think they're cheating death by having kids. They're not. They're not cheating the death of the individual by bringing more individuals here to have to die too. Seriously, I really think life has hypnotized the vast majority of us. I really do.
And maybe it's not for everyone. That is something I think we would both concede. Maybe it's not for everyone. Some people like.
I mean, you just shit talked all these people who gave you reasons why they didn't have them. Granted, they're not my reasons and they're not great, but they still gave you reasons. But you're like, yeah, it's not for everyone. We're not talking about those people. Oh, man. really wish they would just watch their videos back or something, or pay attention to what the fuck they're saying.
Could hate kids. And of course, there's obviously unfortunate situations where women can't have kids and where there's adoption that can be a part. And that's why I don't just say your bloodline, but your ideals, the things you love, like teaching different artistic styles that you like to do with your kid, growing with them, teaching them, learning beautiful things that you know. Like that is a huge part of it as well, those ideals.
I mean, I'll give you a point for mentioning adoption, but I'm taking it away for all the shit you mentioned afterwards. Again, you're acting like these kids are like mini-me's. They're not going to be their own individual person. That they're just like this empty vessel you can pour all your so-called knowledge, wisdom, ideals, and culture and traditions into, and they're just going to follow lockstep with mommy and daddy. Oh, man. God damn. This is what altruism looks like on this fucking planet.
I had such a wonderful childhood. I cannot think of like a better thing than family.
There's plenty of people who don't share your experience. I wouldn't say I had a wonderful childhood. Definitely not the worst that could have happened, but it wasn't great. For a lot of reasons, but who cares about those? Yeah, there's plenty of people who don't have great childhoods. You're lucky, you're fortunate, good for you. I'm happy that you had a good time here on this planet, but let's stop and pay attention to what actually goes on here. Okay? Let's stop and look at the bigger game and realize what you're going to be dropping your kids into. It's not going to be a little fun, happy playtime with your mom and dad all the time. It's a lot of boring work and suffering, and then eventual death. The two things I mentioned at the end there, you spend your whole life trying to avoid, but they come right at you anyways, and it's going to happen to your kids. No matter how great and idyllic their fucking childhood was, that's a fleeting moment. And wait, didn't the other lady say something about, like, not paying attention to your kids? Like, what's the balance here? I don't understand that either.
I used to come home from school and my parents would kidnap my stuffies and hide them in the forest and make me solve a little, treasure hunt to go and save them because I loved Indiana Jones and stuff. And like, I can't wait to do that stuff with my kids.
Man, that sounds so fucking horrible. I would hate my parents right now if they did that shit with my toys. Oh, you're looking for your toy army man? Solve a riddle. Like, what the fuck? Mom and Dad? Jesus Christ. Yeah, I would grow up to hate them. I don't hate them now, actually. I actually get along with them fine, but I would just be like, I would just think back at those times, like, when I wanted to play with my little plastic army men, and they weren't there, and I had to solve a fucking puzzle to figure it out. It just sounds like a shitty fucking childhood to me. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe you didn't experience the best.
Cannot wait. Anyways, I think we could go on forever. It is a beautiful thing, and it may not be for everyone, but this whole...
It's not a beautiful thing. It's, at least from what these eyes are seeing, and yeah, it's definitely not for everyone. I'm not having kids. I'll adopt if I ever get the wild urge to have children, which will probably never happen anyways. I'm not going to adopt any kids unless I get married or something like that, because there's no way a single dude who has to work all the fucking time can even take care of a kid like that or give him adequate care. But according to Miss Brittany over here, maybe I should just ignore him half the fucking time. Say, here's your fucking macaroni and cheese. I'm going to sleep. See you in the morning. We'll drop you off at the school bus stop.
This whole pressure in our current culture to not have kids, I think, is going to make a lot of lonely and unfulfilled people, unfortunately.
Because a lot of people do.
A lot of people were lonely and unfulfilled well before any of these articles or Greg and Mitch or any of that shit came around. Welcome to planet Earth.
Listen.
Well, a lot of people do listen, and they're looking for guidance, and they're looking at the mainstream, who they don't always realize has an agenda, and they don't always realize are pushing certain political philosophies and not always the best advice for the individual, which can turn into a really sad situation. And millennials are going to be an experiment generation of, I think, increasingly lonely people because of the separation of the gender, the separation of family, the disdain towards children. And I feel really bad because they're playing with people's lives when they talk about these philosophies. And
yes, you are. I'm encouraging people not to do something, and you're encouraging people to do the opposite. Now, if I look at what I'm encouraging and what you're encouraging, what has a better outcome? You're encouraging more suffering, death. I'm encouraging the opposite of that. Less suffering, less death. Don't have kids. Knock it off. Sure, they won't get to experience the Indiana Jones fucking, grab the fucking toy teddy bear off the pedestal and dodge a rock kind of childhood, but like you got to, which was sounds so magical. But yeah, fucking, they don't have to experience the end of it all either. They don't have to experience the worst suffering that. There's some really horrific suffering out there. Let's not gloss over that. It's so bad I can't even describe it on this channel. It would shatter your imagination how bad it can get for people. But yeah, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, yeah, I think I'm doing the right thing here. In fact, I am doing the right thing by not causing more problems, by not causing more people to have to suffer and encouraging others to do the same. And then I get people like, well, we got to keep this game going because bloodline and ideals. It's like, who gives a fuck about that? People are suffering and dying because of your dumb actions. Let's drop that shit. Who gives a fuck about our ancestors? They weren't smart enough to figure it out, most of them. Well, actually, mine certainly weren't because I'm here, aren't I? I mean, let's break the chain of suffering and get this over with. Alright? I'm not saying you have to kill yourself or nothing, but let's just go out the quiet way. Go out the back door. Realize we got dropped into a rigged, we were put into a rigged game, and let's call it a night. And as far as agendas go, everyone's got an agenda. They're acting like the mainstream media is the only one with an agenda is stupid. I mean, you guys got an agenda, and I definitely got an agenda. None of us match up on that. Okay, so there's always going to be conflict here too. Bear that in mind. On planet Earth, it's a war zone. Unending conflict. It's like Warhammer 40k, but in real life. With less cool shit and less demons and stuff. So, yeah. Let's finish this shitty movie. Or show, whatever.
When they push them on the general populace. Let's try to end on a happy note. I'm so sad now. I just think
we play the sad romance song in the background now.
You have a lot more sad moments ahead. You can't handle just talking about it. I don't think you're ready to have kids.
Taking myself on a roller coaster of, I had a wonderful childhood, so sad people. Anyways, we really appreciate you guys watching this video. Let us know what you think about children. What do you think about this propaganda and everything going on right now in our popular culture? Mm-hmm. And of course, be sure to hit like and subscribe. We will see you next time.
Bye.
No, you won't. I'm not going to do that. And what do I think about all that shit? You guys already know. I'm getting, if you can't hear it in my voice, I'm a little tired. I'm a little tired of listening to Lauren Southern's grating voice. At least I get to hear different, sounds come out of her mouth for a change, considering the last video I tried to do several times, just didn't work out, but I'll plow through that one too. And then I will probably never do another Lauren Southern video, because it is just so vapid and stupid. Like these people, like between the two of them, there wasn't a single coherent point. The point is, you should be trying to reduce suffering to the best of your abilities. Now, while you're alive, good luck with that. The best you can do is to stop things from being born here. At least conscious things from being born here. Sentient things. Things that can feel from being born here. That's what you should be trying to do. At least in my opinion. I understand not everyone's got the same whatever, goals in life. But that's my goal, really. That's about... honestly, really about all I care about anymore. I mean, it may not seem like because I don't upload videos, but believe me, I generally practice what I preach. I wouldn't say I, don't eat meat ever, but even, vegan lifestyle is not 100% cruelty-free. If you saw the migrant workers and stuff, it's just less cruel. It's a bad game. It's a rigged game. There's always going to be suffering. You're always going to be stepping on someone's toes no matter what you do. The whole point is to try to step on as few toes as possible. And to have as few people step on your toes as possible. That's the ideal world that you should strive for, but never expect any sort of world that's perfect without any sort of suffering involved. And whoever's here is fucked. Every kid anybody ever had is on average dead now. So if you look throughout the entirety of human history, it'll be the same that happens to your kids if you're listening. So I'm just going to leave it there. Painkillers are kind of starting to wear off. Getting a little tired, and this is kind of rusty, but I'm gonna roll with this one. Fuck it. So, without further ado, oh yeah, by the way, just a reminder, Connor Garcia's book's coming out. Last Call for Heroes. Last Call for Heroes. It's on Amazon. Check out my last video for the ISBN or whatever the number on Amazon. It'd be great to support a fellow antinatalist work. It'd be nice if you want to do that. I'm not saying you absolutely have to, but I think it'd be kind of cool to support him. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for listening, and have a good one.